everyone, my name's Carl Dawn Stover, and this is my final project for EDL 856, School and Community Relations. This is over the John F. Kennedy School's case study over parent apathy. Let's go ahead and get started. First of all, we need to identify the problem and kind of now look at it just a little bit. So let's start with what I know. First of all, Mrs. Rose is the new assistant principal. She's just fresh out of getting her master's degree in school leadership, and she's really excited about her first job. When she gets to her school, she really notices that there's very little parent involvement. Parents aren't coming to things. They're just not involved in their child's education. She starts to learn that there's no PTA or PTO group or really any parent club or organization. She starts talking with the current principal, and the current principal doesn't think the parents really want to be involved. He stated that he's tried to do a couple things like with a cafeteria activity, and very few parents showed up, very few parents volunteered. So he's just really disheartened, and he just felt like some phone calls and he could know what parents wanted. However, she kind of goes with the flow a little bit and then talks to the principal again, and he agrees to have a parent meeting. They go ahead, they give some information to give for the students to give to their parents, but when they got to the meeting, only 8 parents showed up, which I'm sure would have been kind of crushing because she's wanting to start something new. Now, as we kind of go further into problem identification, we need to think about what I need to know. First of all, my question was, did parents actually get information from the students? Sometimes students are really responsible and they give their parents those little notes we send home, but other times, I don't think they actually make it home. So that was my first question. Next is, did the parents actually understand what the meeting was about? Was it clearly stated that it was for parents to talk about getting involved in their child's education, or was it just kind of a vague reminder? Next, how did the past parent organizations work? Were they successful? Why did they stop? Was it just a leadership problem? I would like to know more about that. Next up, the principal says he calls certain parents for information. I want to know who these parents are and how I can get into contact with them to get them in the school. Because if they're in the know and they want to talk to the principal and assistant principal, maybe they would like to be involved in a PTO group. Next up, my final question that I would want to know is, do clubs or the CTE pathways or the sports teams have parent support groups or advisory committees? As being a career and technical educator in the agriculture pathway, I know I'm required to have an advisory committee. So this might be a place where I could get further knowledge and maybe recruit people off those committees. Let's keep moving and identify the actual problem. First problem is the parents, they aren't involved with the school. Thus, they're not involved with their child's education, which, we need them involved. Next up, there's no effective communication line between the school and all the parents. Right now, we're just giving kids notes and hoping they take them home and give them to their parents. We need something better. And the last problem I see is the principal is kind of against starting a parent organization because of poor performance by parents in the school before. The parents have shown they weren't involved, so the principal doesn't even want to give them a shot. So those are our 3 problems. Let's keep on going with our category 2 and look at a plan of action. I think when we get to this meeting and I'm standing there, if I was Mrs. Rose and I saw 8 parents, I'd be like, well, at least we don't have none. So 8 is better than none. I kind of came up with some questions I would like to ask them to kind of get their idea, the feel of what they think of how they should be involved in the school. First question, how would they like to be involved in the school? Do they want to see this as an active leadership, as an inactive, as just sometimes we have different events they do? What does this look like to them? How's the communication from school to parents received? Is it positive? Are those communications methods, the best way? Next up, what are the communication methods that they like best? Do they prefer to be emailed? Do they prefer to be called? A letter in the mail? A note from their student? What works best for them? Next, what activities would the parents like to take part in? Do they want to be involved in a booster club for sports teams? Do they want to be involved in increasing education through a tutoring program? We need to know. Next, would the parents actually appreciate having a PTO or PTA? This is a big thing because if they're not going to buy in, it's not going to work. Next up, are there any other parents or community members who might be wanting to be involved in this? Maybe they work at the State Farm Agency. Maybe they work at a grocery store, but they don't have kids currently at the high school. Now, they might want to be involved for recruitment purposes. Next question, who isn't there that should be involved? The parents, a lot of them will probably know each other. We're unsure if this is a small town or a large town, but if it's a small town, everybody knows each other. And then my last question would be like, when should we have another meeting, and how should we put that information out to parents? So that would be my first thing that I would do with the group of 8 parents that are currently there. Next up, let's move to the following plans of actions with my strategies. Step 2 would definitely be research other district PTO programs and look back to past parent groups. I need to go and talk to the principal and see who was the last PTO director or the last PTO group and what's the names, what's the numbers, so I can go ahead and call them. Maybe if there's another district in the area, I can go over and talk to them about their PTO or PTA. Kind of get what they do, what activities they put on, how does it work in their school, especially if they're around the same size of John F. Kennedy. Step 3, I think we need to do a survey to see if this is something we should keep on going with. We need to survey teachers about parents who are active in clubs, CTE advisory boards, and clubs. Also ask teachers how they talk to parents and how they get them involved. We can't leave out our teachers in this strategy because if we do, they're going to feel blindsided. Definitely not something as an administrator I would ever want to do. Step 4, we need to survey all the parents about their interest level in parent involvement. We can do this by mail, we can do this by email, or, if this is a really tech-savvy area, we could even use the SurveyMonkey survey generator, which is great. I use it a lot through some of my ag ed items, and it works very effectively. Step 5, we need to hold a second parent involvement meeting. Hopefully we see more people show up and get involved. I think the way we do that is start sending personalized messages to parents, whether that's by mail, email, a phone call. We need to make sure that they get the information and we're not depending on the students to relay a small note to them. Next up, step 6, we need to continue having these scheduled meetings. And at these meetings, we need to invite staff members. We need to invite coaches. We need to invite teachers. Get them to attend the meeting so the parents feel like it's a value. If the parents don't feel like it's a value, this is going to die. Step 7, we definitely need to elect a parent and teacher advisory officer team. I think it's crucial to select those leaders that are going to really propel us to the next level. Step 8, create a parent meet and greet with parents, staff, and teachers at the school. This would be an awesome first activity for a PTO group to do that, trying to get parents into the school, see what it's about, who the teachers are, who are the staff, be excellent. Maybe at the beginning of the year or maybe the beginning of the semester. Step 9, we need to continue with meetings and start planning parent activities. We need to keep on inviting those new parents to the meetings. We need to invite other successful PTO committees and have them share their story. We need to invite businesses in and have them share their story and how they want to be involved in this. And step 10, I really feel as an administrator, Mrs. Rose need to keep working hard and keep these parents involved. If they don't get a lot of response back from the administrator, they're probably going to wean off and kind of fade away. Now, category 3, we need to resolve the issues based on promoting success of all students. So first of all, what is best for our students? I think the first thing we need to understand is parents need to be active in education. Okay, we have seen, I did some research from this parental involvement in schools website, and found out that students who are parents who are active in education have fewer behavior problems. They're better at academic performance. They identify learning problems earlier. So we need this. As we transfer to the next slide, I'm going to show you a chart which actually kind of gives you some information of how parents can be involved. These parents could attend a general meeting. This would be like our first meeting of where the 8 parents showed up for just the parent conference. So a general meeting. Next up, we can get certain teachers to maybe schedule meetings, but we can see that maybe goes down just a little bit. Next up, to attend a school or class event. This would be great. Come to a sporting event, come to a choir concert, get involved in John F. Kennedy, get our parents in the door seeing what our kids are doing. And lastly, the lowest in involvement area is volunteering or serving on a committee. So we would have to work really hard as an administrative team to find these parents who want to be on the committee and want to be involved. Because we need a great core of people, and they're going to be the ones who bring in other recruits. Continuing on with what's best for our students, I really think we need an effective communication through multiple sources of media. Before in our case study it stated, we just gave a note to the students and they took it home. I think we need to utilize the following formats of getting information out there to our parents. First of all, student reminder notes. They're still great. We still need to send them. However, we also need to look at direct emails to parents, whether that's from an administrator or from a teacher or maybe from the PTO leadership team, even better. Next up, send letters to the parents. Getting things in the mail always brightens somebody's day, especially when it's not bills. So getting a letter from somebody would be great, especially if it's on that leadership team or an administrator, to invite them to an event. Next, get a Facebook or some other social media posts out there to really advertise our events and our meetings. Call key parents. That one-on-one conversation through a phone call can mean a lot to somebody. Next up, have face-to-face conversations. We all go to football games, we all go to basketball games. There's parents at those games. We need to be talking to them and getting them involved and talking about maybe doing a parent group and how it would benefit the students. Next up, I really think our students need a promotive and active administration team. As we've seen in the case study, the principal, he's really hesitant at starting a parent group because of things have failed in the past. Well, administration, we need to be willing to have new ideas. We need to promote school involvement. We need to be encouraging to parents. We need to be welcoming to everyone. As administrators, we should generate excitement about school, about learning, about education, about all the extracurriculars. And lastly, we need to follow all the regulations of parent notification. Parents have to know certain things. By law, they do. Now, as we kind of are debriefing on how I would solve this problem as an administrator if I was Miss Rose, I want to talk about some of the things I was thinking, feeling, and valuing in this case study. First of all, I really think the principal and vice principal relationships are important. Administration needs to be all on the same level, on the same team. We need to work through the same goals. Next up, it really made me thankful of my parent involvement. As an ag educator, I have an awesome parent involvement with FFA. We have parents attend our banquet, our work auction, all the different events that we hold. Nextly, sometimes there's going to be breakdowns in the system, like with our communication. As an administrator, we need to work through this. We had a breakdown in communication, maybe from the students not giving messages to the parents. How do we fight through this problem? Nextly, new ideas are important. The principal, in this case, probably shouldn't have shut down the vice principal right away. We've got to have these new ideas. Next up, education starts at home. If we can get our parents involved, they're going to be excited about learning. Their kids are going to be excited about learning. And finally, building community relationships are so crucial to our students' success. That's where our kids are going to go after they graduate, is into the community. Whether it's a local community or a wider area, we've got to have these relationships. And John F. Kennedy needs them for their students to be successful.